Okay. All right, so for the discussion topics, number 2 here, if you look in IMS on the main menu page, the news items, we have the items that we completed that were released on August 5th. If you look at the next item, these are currently the stories that we're working on for this release. I'll let you guys review those at your leisure.
Hey, Trevor.
Yes.
This is Carrie. I'm not seeing the release notes on my main page for IMS.
They may have expired. I can go ahead and put those back on there. I think I normally set them to like 10 days or 9 days or something like that. So.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. All right, so for the discussion items, number 4, this was the new state food form FDA code, version 11, and the mobile My Apps that we have. We are still developing these forms. Currently, we are in the on-site section for the My Apps, so that is continuing. And I forgot to ask John, do we have a date for that for release? I'm getting that confused with the North Carolina. Was that at the end of the year for the on-site?
That's a target right now.
Okay.
Most of the forms have been designed. They're still going through, Marvin and Jonathan are going through making sure getting the business rules and everything. And so that it hasn't gone, it hasn't even reached developer testing yet. So they have to finish up the business rules, put through developer testing, and then roll it out through QA. And then I think probably what we'll do is we'll handle it the same way we did with the food, where we'll make the septic wells available on demo server for anybody who wants to take it for a test ride. I don't know, maybe 30 days or so. And then once we get to that point, we'll define a specific date. And then the other thing to note is once we get to that point to where it looks like the on-site has passed QA and any test drives that anybody takes it through, it doesn't point out any substantial issues, we'll probably set not only a hard date for that to be released, but at that point we'll probably set a date when everybody needs to be switched over from current mobile to the new mobile app.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so that was for 4A. Now for 4B, that is the public application payment portal. We actually met last month and had a quick review and design. One of our team members went ahead and did some preliminary development work just to kind of mock up some pages to see what we thought about it. We discussed it internally, and we're going to have another meeting in September to go even further. But at this point, we're actually looking for any suggestions and functionality from you guys. So if anyone has any thoughts on this, we'd like to hear it.
This is Carrie. Am I correct that you guys already have this in place for one of your Utah clients? Or
John,
are they still in the design phase as well?
John, is FIS handling something like this for us?
Yeah, no, what we have out in Utah is we have part of it. We don't have a public portal where people can log into our system. What we have set up is the payment portion of that. It's handled, our partner is FIS, which is a very large Fortune 500 company that they handle all the interfacing with the credit card companies themselves. So what we do is we give FIS nightly a file of all the open line items that need to be paid. FIS posts those so then public can log into FIS's website, make the payments, and then that data comes back to us, and then we process and mark it on our side. So they're taking online payments. That part of it will be included in this public portal for us, but we're going to take it, this one is going to go much further than what we've done for Utah, because it'll include that aspect of it, the payments.
Okay.
But it's also going to give them the ability to set up an account. So where, we're looking to, we've heard, send in applications and stuff. And that's what we really need to hear from you guys on, is very specifically what function, should we provide to the public. And just so everybody knows, here's what we're already thinking about including is, aside from the payments, is the ability to submit a complaint, and that would not require them to set up an account. So that part, they could do it from their account, but they can also just go in. There'd be a way to submit a complaint without that. In terms of applications, applying for a septic or a well installation, those applications, we're a little in the dark about what else on, say, like the food and lodging side that you'd want to see included in there. I don't know if let me throw this out there too, and this may sound like I'm changing the subject, but it's related. We're looking at adding a plan review module to the food and lodging side.
Nice.
The way we did it with North Carolina, and it's working out really well, is we took advantage of the request complaint module, the request for service part of it. We created another type in there specific to plan review. And actually, Trevor, can you log into North Carolina IMS?
Yeah.
And just, I think, go on demo, just so we can show you guys what they do. Go to complaint service requests, right about in the middle.
Yep.
And the reason I want to show you guys this is because I think this is one piece that we probably would want to at least think about including in this public portal, so that the people themselves can submit this information. So go to
Don't we start it off with a service request?
Yes. Pick a county first.
Pick Beaufort. Then we have to do a date.
I'm hoping the server got updated with this. Take a look at, go into request type. No,
it's not here. Yeah. It would say plan review.
Hang on, let me take a look. I thought we rolled it out to that server too. It's because it's in production. Let's see. You know what? It might not be there.
We have a plan review. John, we have a plan review button right here. I noticed that last week.
Wait a minute. Let me go back. Where are you looking at?
Right here.
Oh, that's right. We moved it off of the. I'm sorry. Go to that. All right. Go ahead and add.
And do it for Beaufort again. There it is. Plan review, and it's open.
Okay, yeah, I don't think the rest. Just fill in whatever's required. Go down to establishment type. No, not an establishment. Establishment type.
Right.
Uncheck that email box. I wouldn't even pick. No, take the EHS out.
Okay.
That's fine. As long as you uncheck the email, you're good. Establishment type is in the demographics. First drop down. You passed it. It's in the demographics section.
First drop down.
Oh,
geez.
Restaurant. All right, and just type in some letters and the name and stuff. Okay, I think that may be all you need.
I don't like how it's yellow here.
What are you doing? Did you start over?
It clicked out on me. I don't need that. I don't need that.
Now, right now, this is not available to the public in North Carolina. This is just available to the environmental health departments right now.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save this.
Okay, so now you have this. It's basically a service request record you have set up with, but it's a plan review type. So you can go out and record visits to this. Once you've done all the visits and you've given them the okay and you want to go ahead and permit this as an establishment, you would select it and then create permit. What it's going to do is take you to the Add Establishment page with the demographic information from the plan review filled in already. Eventually.
Demo is a little slow.
Yeah. Well, not that, but the apps are just coming up for the first time too. So then from here, then it's just like creating another establishment. And then you would go on, and obviously Trevor didn't fill in very much information on that plan review. All these required fields with the red asterisk, he could have selected all that information and tracked that on plan review. That'd all be pre-filled in here. And so what they're doing is they're using these plan reviews to track people who have applied for establishments prior to them getting permitted to open.
Can I ask a silly question?
Yes.
So if this doesn't have the ability for them to submit their plans and such for us to review, then how is it different than creating an establishment and leaving them in pending?
Well, you could do that. But I mean, submitting their plans, you could do
more than just their ABCs and information. There's pages of details about their menus and food handling operations and diagrams and stuff that they need to submit, and sometimes specs on equipment.
Well, you got two options there, Carrie. One, you could do them as attachments to the plan review. And what we do is anything that carries over from the plan review when you permit them as an establishment, that carries over to the establishment then.
So if the public can go in here and do the plan review part of it, then they could put the attachments, and then we can have fields that have other questions and stuff?
That would be the intent, yes. And see, and that's what you brought up just now. That's exactly what we're looking for. Because when we do make this available to the public, we want to make sure it includes the functionality. We want to make sure it includes enough stuff to where this is going to save you guys some work, some time.
Right, and then they can pay through this as well?
It'll include a payment, aspect to this, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would say it's worth exploring.
Going back, now, what we did was we did add some fields to the service request for specific to plan reviews, and it was just information that the North Carolina users asked us. Yeah, it'd be good if you could have this information included on plan review so we could carry it over. So we did expand on it, and it was based on their feedback. So what we're looking for now is your guys' feedback to make sure that when we build the module for our Illinois counties or municipalities, that it's going to include what you need. So yeah, they can, Trevor, cancel out of this and go back to that plan review I want to make sure that, I want to see if we included the attachments in there on this.
So like if they picked a different type of thing other than a restaurant, like if they picked a mobile, then it could have different fields for them to fill in based on the type that they choose?
That's not set up that way now. Again, that's, like I said, that's the type of information that we're looking for you guys. What my suggestion, more of a request actually, I guess, would be, think about a plan review module with this basic concept. Now, and also think about it in terms of the public logging in through this public portal and being able to fill in this information, attach their documents. If you have specific things that you would like to see in that, not only in the plan review module, now you guys will have access to it too, the users, the health department people will, in addition to having it available on the public portal. So if there's certain things that you would like to see in there, please just send them to us in an email and be as specific as possible as to either your questions or suggestions or anything, because we're now, like I said, we can go ahead and include this in IMS so that you guys as signed in users could access and start tracking plan reviews. But this type of stuff being included in the public portal, which is just still in a design phase, that's the information we need. So email it to Trevor and myself, and like I said, just if you could be as specific as possible. I'm not saying that every suggestion that we get we'll be able to include. We'll look at it for feasibility and everything, but since this is in its design stage, now's the time, because this is it's to include additional things like that. This is the time when it's the easiest to do that. So back to the public portal page, and so again, include a plan review submittal type thing. If there's other aspects of the food and lodging, setting up an establishment, or even after an owner of a already licensed establishment, if there's things that you think they would need to, log it into a public version of IMS, if there's things that they should be able to submit, please let us know those things too. Because we kind of have a vague idea of what you guys, what the public would need to do. Like, we didn't need to be told they would need to be able to file a complaint. I know a lot of counties already have that on their own county web pages. So what we could do, if you want to include that aspect of it, that could just be a link on your county web page too. So
John, Carrie.
Go ahead.
You might be surprised, but I've been dreaming about this and have different questions and ideas for what we would like for it to do. Do you want me to email those or talk about those now?
I would prefer both, maybe, because I think it'd be good if you brought them up now, just so other people hear and we start getting ideas tossed about. But if you wouldn't mind also documenting them in the email and sending them out, that way we can track. We can keep a document of what we've received and the changes and stuff, and include that in the design.
Okay. I would say one of the biggest things that I see this being beneficial for, at least us, and I would imagine other users as well, is the ability for food establishments to do their renewal process through this portal, which would include them paying for that license, updating any information on their application, and electronically signing that application. So that kind of gives them an option to do all this online rather than just send it all through mail and then us manually doing things. I think that would reduce a huge burden, the renewal process.
Okay, so I'm just kind of spitballing here. I'm wondering if, you know how you run your renewals now.
Mm,
I wonder if we would want to consider having an option where you said instead of generating these, well, we would still need to generate all the invoices.
still need to generate the line
You
items
just,
and invoices and
right.
stuff like that,
You
but
just wouldn't necessarily have to print them.
yes, exactly.
So,
Maybe sending a postcard that says, please go on to this website and find
yes,
something.
exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. And then have, you know, once they do that, they would go online, log in. You know, if it's their first time, they'd have to create an account. And then they would see that, you know, they owe this money for that, for the renewal. They could, like you said, make updates, pay it.
And then
Yeah,
also need to not just be their renewal, but any other outstanding balances as well.
oh, absolutely, yeah. We would
Okay.
definitely include the, right.
Because it would also be good for them to be able to go there and pay their monthly invoices.
Yes. Yeah, and when people log into that FIS site in Utah to make payments, it's not limited to their renewals. It's anything they may owe.
Okay, I've got several notes here, John, based on what you guys are talking about.
Okay.
And then I think it could be a little bit more complicated, but it would be nice to have people be able to submit their temporary application online and pay for it at the same time. And I don't know if that's via an attachment type of system for the application or entering and doing whatever, because we require them to submit a drawing with their application. If that would
Okay.
as well as kind of making it easier for them to submit their payments and information in a timely manner. And then obviously this payment portal would have to match up with, I know we currently use Pentimation or whatever, and I know they're looking at something different, but I know you guys do that currently with when we manually enter fees. But it would have to sync up however it does now behind the scenes.
Are we exchanging data with another system in that for you, Carrie? I don't recall that.
Yeah.
I know we do with your real estate system for validating PIN numbers and stuff.
Yeah, that as well. I forgot about that part. But yeah, at like in the middle of the night, it syncs up with something else, Pentimation.
Okay, so if it's an overnight process, that's very similar to what we're doing already with Salt Lake with FIS. That's exactly what we're doing.
And has the EHR side or CD side of CDP reached out to you guys to try to match what you're doing currently on this side so they don't have to reinvent the wheel on that side? I know that's probably a different time and topic for this call, but...
Well, no, not necessarily. And actually, it's funny you asked that. I just talked with, excuse me. Do you know who Siri Kumar is? Carrie? He's handles along with Mike Peth and some other people, the EHR side of things. And he actually called me the other day. Months ago, we talked about interfacing EHR and environmental health. And he has already some ideas in mind because it would be, I think, more information coming from them to the environmental side, but there would have to be a back and forth. We're actually going to be looking at that during September. We're going to come up with a very, at a very elementary level, an interface between the two systems. So actually, yes, it's.
I wasn't even thinking on that level. I was thinking on they're trying to do the different things over there, and they're not somehow, they have to do two separate things because they're not linked to the Pentimation like we are over here.
Oh, that part I don't know about, but I can ask them.
Yeah, they need to talk to you guys.
Okay.
Okay. But that other thing, if we did link together, I could go on. I mean, it would be great for having a lead module too for children with elevated blood lead levels and a way to track home stuff like that. But that's
You know, back when we first started talking about it, that was one of the first things that was brought up.
I feel like I'm dominating this phone call. Is there anybody else on here today?
Well, Carrie, this is Lisa with Winnebago. That would be great to tie all this into CDP. Currently, we use ePay through the state, and we have all of the applications on our website where they can go to the application and fill in the fillable PDF, and then they can go back and pay through ePay, but we still have to hand enter into CDP.
Okay.
So Lisa, what types of things are they paying for on through the ePay?
They pay for anything: temporary events, food permits, the septic permits, loan inspections, plan reviews, change of owner, site verifications when they're putting structures on a property that has well and septic. Pretty much anything.
Okay. Because we could look at doing something with ePay. I don't, a lot of it will depend on if they're able to do it or willing to do it. But we could look at doing something similar like we did with Salt Lake and then with Peoria, where we, exchange that information for them and make it available for them to, put the items that they owe you guys for out on there, and then they give us the payment information. We update it automatically. Save you guys the time and effort of having to go in and manually record those.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I guess we would have to get in discussion with ePay and see what that would involve. Do you have a contact at ePay?
Yeah, I do. I'll have to get that for you. I think it did change. It used to be Georgia Brauhaus, but I have another contact I can forward to you.
Yeah, that's fine. Just email it to us, and we can research that and see what the possibilities would be. Okay, so it just as, again, last reminder, again, anything that you would like to see in terms of either the plan review or the public portal, just email to Trevor and I. And again, just be as specific as you possibly can, and we'll bring that into our discussion, and anything that's feasible to do, we'll try to include in there.
Okay. All right, so we'll go to our next item then, if there's nothing else, which was C. So that development effort was completed in this past release. That was on 8/5 of this month. So I will be taking this off the CCB agenda. We have D, which is the Iroquois item numbers that have both P, PF, and or even all three. This is where John was going to, I believe you had some mock-ups for this, correct, after the questions? Was this the mock-up?
You got it in the document already.
Okay.
What we need to know here, Carrie, this is what I had emailed you about last week. So what we need to know from you guys, is it possible for, like, looking at the example that Trevor has on the document there, the first one, line item 33, and you go in and you select that 3-501.11. Now that's identified as a core. Is it possible for that one food code to have multiple of those boxes checked? Could it be a priority foundation? Could it potentially be all three, or is it always just a one or the other type thing?
So, John, I looked a little bit further because I was trying to find any that had multiple, and you might have like the section 3-501.11 that could have different priority foundation or core under it, but the specific like subparts, so like the 3-501.11C might just be core, and I didn't see where it would be other items, but it is possible under the same complete section to have 2 or 3 different things underneath.
Okay, so but in that case, Carrie, wouldn't those would all be then set up as individual predefined comments, one as a core and then one as a priority, right?
Yeah, those would all be predefined, individual predefined comments, but I mean, ideally we would also like them to have their own box and their own way for us to track the correct by or that it was corrected.
Right, and that's what we have in the mock-up here. If you look at the violation code, the first 2 rows, they're both line item 33.
Right.
So if we allow that, which right now, I think IMS does, but mobile does not. If we include this type of functionality in mobile, where you could select that line item 33 more than once, multiple times, so that you then could select each specific code, but then each one of them would only be marked as one of the 3. So if this type of functionality was carried into mobile, would that fit the need here?
I feel like if I'm understanding what you're saying and we're on the same page, yes.
Okay. So what that's going to mean is, let me see if I'm already logged in here. I can show you when those predefined comments are set up.
Would it make you presenter, John?
Yeah, let me find it first.
Okay.
That's not what I want. Oh, bear with me here. Trevor, when I went to that page, I was already in the news item, so I extended that the release notes from last month out for another week.
Awesome.
All right, so let's see here.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can make me presenter.
All right, you got it.
Nope, I shared the wrong monitor. Let's see, I want this one here. Okay, so in the predefined comments. All right, so as these are set up, if you guys go in to maintain these, what we're going to do is.
Okay.
3-501. Let me see if I can find one of those. All right, so on these here, right now you can check these as multiple. What we're going to do is put an edit in here that only one of these boxes can be checked at a time. So if you have this 3-501.14 and it's a priority, you would have to set it up exactly like this. Then if you had 3-501.14 as a priority foundation, it would be a separate comment here, and it would be marked like that. And so what we're going to do is limit that so that multiple boxes cannot be checked. Then that way we can do, IMS will take care of itself. It already has that functionality in there. On the mobile side, then we'll allow you to select multiple occurrences of that. So does everybody agree that that will resolve that issue that's been brought up?
So if I'm understanding, so we do these predefined comments clearly on IMS, and when those are updated, when they are doing the inspection from mobile, and they click on a violation, the different predefined comments will pop up. They'll pick one, it'll create its own dialog box, etc. They can go back under that same violation number and pick another one should they have multiple issues under that same violation, and each one will have its own box, but it will not affect the count for repeats or risk factors by adding multiple comments.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's still only going to count the counts, the total numbers. It's only going to be based on that page, what's checked as out of compliance on page 1.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, great.
All right, Trevor. So we got a solution for that.
Yep.
I'll bring that up with the developers on Monday, and we'll move forward with that one.
All right. Okay, that brings us down to E. I don't know if Tony is on the call or not. Couldn't tell.
He is. I saw him join just a little bit ago.
I joined. I got kicked off from the storm, and I'm back on. You can't keep Thor down.
Oh my.
All righty. So for this issue with the stylus and stuff like that, we've gone back and forth with our partner company. I've reached out to them several times. We're having difficulties like getting this to happen on our side. So replicating the issue is the hardest part for us. Without us being able to replicate it, it's hard for us to figure out what to do to fix it, or even if it's something that's fixable on our end. So at this point, we're still going to research this internally, as things do change, but we're going to remove it from the CCB agenda. I just want to give you a heads up with that.
Okay. Is there anything we need to do to get together with one of our machines or go-to meeting or webcam to see what's happening to try to diagnose it from our end?
Technically, it would be helpful if we actually had a physical device with us. I'm going to reach out to CDP internally and see if anyone has a Surface Pro 6. And we're going to see if we can replicate the issue there. That was our next step internally.
Okay.
It's just, we haven't found anyone yet. So that's part of the problem.
Hey, Trevor.
Yeah.
But at some point, though, it might be good to do that over a go-to meeting with Tony, not just because he has that specific device, but so we could see exactly how it's, when it's happening, what is being done. And it sounds pretty straightforward. Tony was pretty clear as to, when the pen is lifted and stuff. But, sometimes seeing it, and I don't know if Chris DePiero would be willing to sit in on something like that. Maybe he might have a little bit more insight on that too, but that might not be a bad idea.
Okay. So I'll arrange something with Maiko, and I'll get Tom involved in this also.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right. So I've got a note to reach out. I've got a note to reach out to them, Tony, and I'll get back in touch with you on this.
Okay. I got bumped out of the call. One of the earlier ones, I think, was it C? That talked about the highlighting. That one's been resolved.
Yeah, that was put in on this past development release.
And I just asked my guys about that. We're not seeing it on our end. So is there something special we need to do to activate that?
Let me see if they did that specifically on the My Apps. Oh, that was are you running the My Apps?
Oh, it's only My Apps that's
doing
that. Okay, never mind. I'm reading now.
Okay, that's okay. All right. So the next one, Carrie at Egyptian um, was asking about the possibility of a pop-up confirming a successful upload. Again, we reached out to our partner company, and basically that functionality is just not available to us. We would require certain events for that to happen, and they're not willing to let us have access to that, just because that's their proprietary, their source code. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and mark this one as not completed, and we will go ahead and remove this from the agenda also.
Hey, Trevor, you might want to mention that. Just remind them about, the BCC option.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Being a way to confirm that the
Um,
blind copy.
that goes in basically to the one that is right below it, the BCC feature for all the inspections for the My Apps. Basically, you can enter on the My Apps, you can enter your own email address or whatever email address you want it to go to. The inspect when you hit finish, it'll send a copy of that to you or whoever you want it to go to. And
Hey,
that
Trevor,
was
Carrie just threw into the chat that the blind copy feature is working well for him.
oh great, yeah, that was released this month also. So that being said, I'm going to remove that one also from the agenda since it's been completed. The next one we have G, which is the expand the water sample number to accommodate that type of number. We have not done anything with this. Originally, it was a low priority item for us, but as of this past Monday, yesterday, during planning, we elevated this to a priority story. So this should be complete by the end of this development effort. And then that brings us to H, which is the request to have request complaint records be able to tie both to a property and an establishment. We released that this month also on August 5th. So this item will be coming off the CCB agenda.
Can you expand or explain that one to me a little bit? So if we enter an RFS through the food establishment side, then it ties also to that property, or you can put it in under properties and it will tie to the food establishment?
I believe you could do it for either one of them if I'm understanding what you're asking me. Let me pull up the 119.777. I can tell you exactly what was done here. Okay, so allow for linking of a property even if the establishment link already exists and vice versa. If one of the links already exists, do not change the address information, just add a link. Change the investigation page to update the OSS ID when appropriate.
So I'm trying to remember some of the terms, etc. So basically, I feel like in order for that to work, we would have to have validated the address on the establishment side, like we do under the property side.
I mean, it's not, Carrie, it's not required that you do that.
Okay.
Basically, what we're doing is, Trevor, are you logged into the Illinois system?
Not yet.
Yeah, just go log in and just pick any request for service record.
I don't know who I'm picking here.
It was McLean 64.
Okay.
Then just go to edit any one of them. So Carrie, in the past, you could link this to either a property or an establishment. now you can look up, if you're creating a new one and you don't want to type the information, you can link it to a property, but then that does not prevent you from also linking it to a licensed establishment or vice versa. Once the location address information, once that's populated though, selecting a property or an establishment will not change that. So whichever one you select first, so if you have an establishment at 5113 East Richland and you select that establishment and it populates the 5113, and then you select the property and it says 5113 East with East actually spelled out, it's going to stay as it would appear here, just 5113 E Richland Avenue. Or like in this case, it looks like they may have just manually typed it in and then went back and linked it to a property. So at that point, we're not going to replace it, but it is tied to that record. So if you come in through the properties and look up, what requests for service or complaints I have based on that on-site property, septic or well property, you'll see this. Request number 2008-61. If it was tied to an establishment, say a McDonald's that was at that location, and you went in and looked at service requests for that McDonald's, you would also see this same request record.
Okay. And then you could go into it, and it's basically just one document or what have you that they could update their findings and whatnot, and it's whether you go in to look on the establishment side or the property side, you see the same information.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is request was made for adding letters to the certification module. What type of letters would be generated based on this request? We did have questions that were answered on the last change control board, so we're going to go ahead and put forth a development effort to create the letters. However, we will not use the batch mode since that was not something you guys were interested in. And we are putting that for a December release. I'm sorry, September.
December, yeah.
I'm already in Christmas mode. All right.
Gotta get through Labor Day and Halloween first.
I'm trying to avoid my birthday. All right, so Jay, request was made for a report of establishments that have never had a routine inspection. Came from Tony. Again, this development effort is being changed. We were supposed to have it in last month. There were some other high priority issues that popped up, so we didn't have a chance to get to it, but we will get to it by the September release. And we have K. We need a new flag for number of days. First routine after opening and licensing. Inspection must be completed. Again, this was one of those ones that got caught, so we will be releasing that in September also. The next one, I believe, was this the one that we were going to? This is for
this
the
is the alerts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one I told you I had a couple of.
Okay. Let me make you the presenter so you can show those. All right, all yours.
Let's see. So are you guys seeing my screenshot here that's got some establishments on there?
Yep.
Okay. So
John?
Trevor, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I was having issues with my headset here.
There
We
you
good?
go. That's much better.
Okay. All right. So what we're proposing to do here is if you have an alert, if you added a comment to an establishment and you flagged it as an alert, during the date range that you put on that alert, if it's inactive, it hasn't expired yet, we will show it on the establishment search page. And since, you know, if you have multiple comments that are flagged as alert that are active, we're only, unfortunately, on this page here, we're only going to show the most current one. However, if you have multiple and you go to access that record, say you click this checkbox and you're going to go to add a fee for it, or you just click the edit icon or something, before it navigates off this page, it's going to pop up the little bubble window that shows the alert, and this one here will list all of the active alerts. So if you have multiple, that he's written bad checks, if he carries a gun, he's got a mean dog, whatever, they'll all be listed here. And so anytime you go to access that establishment, regardless of, you know, you navigate off this page to something else for that establishment, that bubble will pop up first, and you'll have to just click the red X to close it, and then it'll navigate to the page you were going to.
All right. I'm going to take back the presentation. And where did it go? There we go. All right, so that's an update on that one. Now we're at M, addability for anonymous complaints, and we're actually going to turn that came from a planning discussion that we had, but also from the last CCB call. We wanted to know how you guys wanted to handle this. Currently, let's say from North Carolina, you know, I don't know if it's something as simple as being able just to type in Anon in the name, first name, last name, just Anon.
That's what we do in Peoria.
Okay.
So I feel like that's already an option, or I'm confused about what we're talking about.
No, that's exactly what was brought up, as from my understanding.
Okay.
Does anyone have another suggestion other than that?
Yeah, we usually type in unknown under the name, unknown or anonymous.
Yeah, I mean, the point there is the complainant information. It's just a free-form text box, so it doesn't require an actual like formatted name. You could put anything in there. I've seen, like Trevor said, I've seen several that have had just ANON in it. I went in and looked this morning, and I saw anonymous on some actually typed out. Like Tony says, you could put it unknown. So I don't know. I wasn't on the last change control board call, so when this was brought up, Trevor didn't remember who brought it up. Are we not understanding the question, maybe?
I wasn't on it either, but is the question on inputting anonymous information, or is the question for an individual to anonymously go to a website and register a complaint so that automatically goes into the system without actually talking to a person? What's the real issue?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you.
Well, if what Tony said is the issue, that was discussed
In the
when we were talking about the public portal thing. So, and that it will have the ability. They won't have to create an account or anything to submit a complaint.
Well, this is Lisa at Winnebago again. I noticed that we have ongoing complaints now also, and most of the time they just put bogus information, bad names, bad phone number, bad email address. So having it as a required field doesn't really make much difference. They should be able to just put a dot in the box and be anonymous. They're going to be anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you could even do that too. Yeah, just a dot in the name field. That'll suffice too.
Well, John, you just mentioned that it was required. Do we have to make it required?
Um,
I'm going to go into the page here.
let's see.
I would say make it
What?
required so that the attempt of information is gathered and at least gives perception that they need to put the correct information in there. If they lie, you can't control that.
Can't control that. Yeah, right.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with Tony.
Yeah, and it's just that first text box that's required.
Right. Looks like it's just the last name. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, yeah, typing anon, unknown, or whatever, that would satisfy it.
Yeah, because I think if there was a search ability to figure out how many anonymous complaints we got versus not, and which ones were actually valid versus the disgruntled employee, could be helpful sometimes.
Okay. So do we want to move forward with this, or are we deciding that this is just nothing that we need to worry about at this time?
I'd say unless whoever brought it up on the last call, which I just remembered I was not on either, meant something different, then I feel like we're good.
Okay. All right. I'll take it off after this. All right. So before we get into the on-site piece of it, this is the open forum part. Does anyone have any new business to bring up or suggestions, comments?
Hi, this is Carrie Lane. I was wondering in the IMS for the, let me pull it up here real quick. Under establishment, in the info boxes and everything like that, for the zip code, we have some places that have the zip code extension. Is it possible to modify those boxes to allow that?
The 4-digit zip afterwards?
Yeah. Right now, it's not letting me input that. Like for Walmart, for
right.
renewals and everything like that, there's a specific extension, but it's not letting me save it.
Trevor, let me take a quick look at that database. Okay. I want to see how those fields are structured.
Okay. I thought we had something like that in there, but maybe the format.
I just don't see it, or I was entering different, I don't know. But from my end, I don't see anything that allows it.
Okay, let's see here. Yeah, they're structured to handle that. They're all defined as 10 character fields. So let me try something here real quick. Let's try saving one.
Okay, I just tried it again, and for some reason it decided to work for me. It would.
Well, you know what? I just tried to do one and it gave me an error though. Let me see.
Well, it looked like when I tried it the first time, I included the dash and then the 4 digits afterwards, and this time I didn't include the dash. But when I tried that earlier on a different one, it even without the dash, it didn't allow it. So I don't know if it was just user error or
Well,
it's because it's
that's
got
what
an
I just
audience it wants to work.
I just tried it with a dash and that did not work. And then I just replaced the dash with a blank space. That did not work. Let me, if I put it in. Okay, so I put it in without a dash, but it took it and then it inserted a dash in it. So it's actually formatted correctly.
Okay.
So yeah, and I can take a look at that. If it's an easy fix, we can change it to where it actually allows you to type it in. For right now, just type in just the digits and it'll format it, accordingly.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyone else have anything?
Yes, this is Carrie. So on the establishment lookup page, you guys have been awesome, and it adds the last risk assessment, so we can see where that's at. Is there any way for them to see that when they're in the mobile, so it kind of triggers whether they need to do one or not, or they can at least look to see when the last one was done?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we can take care of that. Well, would it suffice to have it be like when you go to look up the establishment?
Like when they go to choose it?
Yeah.
I guess if as long as it's evident and they can see it, then it should be adequate. And if it's possible to have it as a red color, that would maybe trigger that. I'll have to ask because I'm unfortunately not as versed or familiar with the mobile side of it. But just some means of when they're out in the field, if they don't have IMS, that they can look when they're doing their inspection.
John, I thought well, it's not on the actual food inspection form, but in the My Apps, I thought Tom added the ability to, on the history form. So let's say you're looking at the history form to see, where you're going or what's to be done. A quick checkbox that when you check it, it opens up the inspection form. So if
From the history form?
yeah, I believe he did that or something close to it. Now it's not what Carrie's saying, like whenever you pull up the establishment dialog box where the actual establishment would show up in red.
Right.
But I believe that you could find that information out from the history form.
Carrie, you guys are still using my forms, right?
The
Original mobile?
yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he only did it in the My Apps one.
Okay, then we can patiently wait for that.
Okay.
Okay, we'll follow up on that though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone
Thank you.
have anything else?
This is Tony. When is my apps going to be required?
We haven't set a date yet. Before we can make it required, we have to finish the septic and wells portion of it so that it has full functionality. The septic and wells portion is pretty much through the design phase. Our developers are now going in and making sure all the business rules that are in current mobile are included in the My Apps. Once they do that, it still has to go through developer testing, then through QA, and then we'll make it available for a month or so for anybody who wants to take it for a test ride on one of the other servers. So, Tony, off the top of my head, we're shooting for the end of the year.
Okay.
And then at that point, we'll give a date that will be beyond that as to, okay, we're going to shut down current mobile as this, as of this date.
Okay. Then I have two questions here. One is, in the past we talked about, we called it the Wreck-It Ralph syndrome, where the Wreck-It Ralph syndrome still exists. Basically, if you fill out an application in the field for a new establishment, and then you swipe the button at the bottom to conduct an inspection at the time, there is no validation to make sure that it's all been synced up back to the office, resyncing, reselecting the establishment name to insert the establishment number, and it gets uploaded into the abyss and causes grief. So Wreck-It Ralph has done it on version 2.0 last week. So does this make sense?
Yeah,
Sounding familiar?
that was a known issue that, I thought we addressed that several months back, regarding, like, there has to be it's almost like a flow chart of how things are supposed to happen. Obviously, it got wrecked by not following that process. So
By Ralph.
right. My suggestion way back in the day, when it originally came up, was to remove the ability to open that establishment for the inspection part of it, just to avoid that specific issue happening. Because currently we have nothing in place. It would be almost impossible, after talking with our senior developer Tom. It would be impossible for us to know what's ready to go and what's not ready to go, since it hasn't even been created yet. So that's why that happens.
Yeah, and I think basically all the information is on the inspection is
Right.
populated into the inspection report, except for establishment number, because
Right.
that can't be created.
Right.
So can't there be a simple validation that says if the establishment number field is blank, you can't upload it, you can't finish it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we could do that.
That would be.
My question, Trevor, let me make sure I understand. So if they do the application and they finish that,
If they finish it, they're fine. The only thing they have to do after that is download the establishment.
okay. But does the database refresh happen automatically when they
No.
finish?
This is all occurring out in the field where we might not have internet access.
Right.
Or we're likely to not have internet access. So we might go out into the field and actually fill out the application form with a new facility, and then at the same visit conduct their pre-opening licensure inspection, final inspection, whatever you want to call it. And so we're swiping the button, and it'll take the information from the newly filled out application, populate the inspection form with everything except for
The permit
the
number.
establishment number.
Right.
Establishment number and probably permit number too.
Right. Right.
No, not all places will have a permit number, because they can't get a permit number until they get approved regardless. So that requires a final inspection or licensure inspection, depending on your facility or your county. But what we would normally do in a perfect world is, when we come back to the office, we finish the application and upload it, resync our machines, then we reopen that inspection report, swipe the establishment name to repopulate the establishment name
Right.
with the current information, including the establishment number.
Right. That's the correct way to do it. Yeah.
But that doesn't always happen, because when we do inspection reports, my guys are doing several hundred normal inspections and very few of these. So habit kicks in and they go click and off into the abyss with no establishment number it goes.
Okay, so with that being the case, then it sounds like what Tony suggested would handle it, and I don't see any
Right.
reason why we couldn't do that.
Yeah. There was
I
some
work on commission, by the way.
there was some reservation with Tom on that, though, John. I don't remember exactly what it was, so we could probably revisit this in planning, see if he still has those objections. I thought there
Yeah,
was something that he mentioned.
I don't recall that, so I'll talk to him. I can't imagine what the objection would be.
I don't know. It's just why did for some reason when this came up, I'm not sure why we didn't. There was some reason why we didn't do that before.
Okay.
I remember the issue and I remember it happening, and Tom and I going back and forth on this.
All right.
Well, Record Ralph broke CDP version 2.0. Hopefully we stop at version 2.0 and not 3.0.
Agreed.
All right, I'd like to see. We'll stop it at 2.1.
All right.
And then one other question I have. Is there a database that we can see all the releases that have happened over time? Because frankly, I know Carrie was talking, where were the previous releases from this last update, but sometimes it's good for me to, I kind of forget what we have done, and it'd be nice if we had like a master list that we could go back and say, oh yeah, this is fixed. I don't need to ask them about it. This is what we need to do.
I don't remember John, do you remember the login to view all for the admin? I don't.
You just need to be anyone that's just that has the
Maybe it's
CDP user type.
Here we go. I forgot about this account that I have. So basically, you want to see all of these.
Yeah, or have some kind of access to a database that shows us what's been corrected, what hasn't.
How do you want to handle that, John?
Well, now when you put this last one out here, I updated it. We had a document attached, but what I had been doing prior to that was like look at the one from 2019-05 or 06, either one.
Okay.
See, they're built right into the message, so we could actually cancel that. If you export that list, Trevor, you could export that to a PDF or an Excel, and
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we did it in Excel, we could weed out the ones that are not mobile, that are not release items. Oh, it doesn't have all the notes in there, though.
Oh, there's 3 pages. Nope. Yeah, it doesn't have the notes.
We'd have to take a look at that export. That would be the easiest thing for us to do, would just give the ability to
show all the details from the message.
Well, no, I guess actually right now a solution would be we could just extend the expiration date on all the release note ones.
Sure.
And just leave them out there for longer periods of time. I would say, why don't we go back and extend the release notes for all of 2019, okay, and just have them, just leave them out there till the end of the year.
Okay, I'll take care of that after this call then.
Thank you.
We could change that right after this call. We can go through one by one and just change them all.
I'll just start with this one. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. All right, thanks, Tony. Anybody else have anything?
We'll do that. We'll make them all available again, Tony.
Thank you.
All right. So this is the point where we get into the change control board for the on-site. section. And currently, doesn't look like anything's changed with this. So after talking with John Grady, he was mentioning that there was a work group that John Hendershot was working with, and I was hoping to see if he was on the phone here, if there's any update for that.
Yeah, I'm here. I haven't heard anything from anybody since the last meeting, so
Okay.
we still have like 9 or 10 checklists that would be part of the system to go in for inspections of different types of systems in Illinois.
Okay.
Hey, Trevor, were you on our last on-site call that we had?
The actual on-site call, I was not. I was out of town on that one.
Trying to remember who was on there. One of your guys.
It might have been Tom Bonk.
I thought that they were going to kind of put something together to kind of show us something.
John, do you remember anything about this?
Let me. Is it this item here about the drawing form? Putting something together?
That rings a bell too, but I don't remember.
From what I could tell from what you've got there, there weren't any notes really added from the last meeting that we had, because there was some fairly extensive discussion on different things, like what Carrie thought was, or what Carrie's idea for the My App was, and where the idea of how the forms would progress if the person was in the field or not in the field. And so none of that stuff is really documented in the form that you've got up right now.
Yeah, I don't have any. I have. Let me just double check here. Do we know when that meeting took place? The last meeting?
It was June 24th.
And so, while you're looking, just a question. So as things are developed, if we go ahead and start working on developing like our standard systems, then there would be functionality and flexibility to add components or fields for new technology or new systems or different things of that nature over time.
Right. The last meeting was July 16th, I think. We had, it was a fairly extensive discussion about that stuff. I actually listened. Remember, John Grady, I sent you an email saying
I'm looking at it. Yeah,
I went back right now just to make sure that I was clear on what path that Carrie was talking about.
Yeah, it was on the 16th.
What was that, Carrie?
I said, oh yeah, it was the 16th. It seems like a lot longer ago, so the June date made sense to me, but I don't even know what month it is anymore.
Because at that last meeting, there was some talk about whether or not they could get some screenshots from the North Carolina people and show us what may be in development, so we would know which direction we're headed.
Let me look back through my notes here.
But I think that there was a lot of people from CDP that were at a funeral, maybe.
That's, you know what? That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I remember now.
Then that must have been on me, Because I would have hosted that meeting by myself. Look through
No,
my
hang
notes.
on. Hold on. I found my notes here. Okay, so here's what I have. Let's see. We talked about the drawing page, the variance module. Let's see. We talked about an annual notifications of inspections due. Well, that's all I have written down. Can email option be used without a finish? Email supervisor reports before finish. And somebody asked about the drawing page. Are they saved as images, or can they be saved as images? Oh, shoot. You know, and I was looking to see if we had a recording of that meeting, but I don't see one.
This is Angie from McLean County. At that last meeting, Carrie was talking a lot too about the flexibility of the new form and how to indicate the system type and if it's auto-filled from the application. That was a big point of discussion.
I did go back and listen to the recording that was made from the July meeting, so I know that it's out there on YouTube.
Let me see.
Yeah, because Carrie was talking about how she wants them on the My Apps to be able to change, a lot of stuff in the field, as opposed to, it being completely linked to what was on the application.
Let me see if I can find that. If it's still out on YouTube, I'm gonna go and listen in on that one. Because if I recorded it, I should have the recording in my document.
I've got it right here, John.
Oh, okay. That's why I can't find it. All right. So if it's on, let me go back and listen to it, and then we're going to have to regroup on this one.
Yeah, for some reason it's not ringing a bell for me. Obviously I did it because I have the recording, so.
Not finding. Trevor, is it, what's our account, the subscription name again?
IL Env Health.
Ah, there it is. Okay. Mobile app. What was the date of that call, Trevor?
7/16.
I'm only seeing. I see 3 out here. Well, was that the CCB call, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's the only one that I did that day that I remember.
That was the
I don't remember
CCB
the
call.
outside piece.
I'm looking for the recording of the June 24th call.
Ooh,
John Hendershot, did you say you were able to listen to that one?
No, I think that June 24th call was my call, and there wasn't a recording of that.
Oh, okay.
And then after the June one, we decided.
Okay.
So July was a call.
So I need to go back and listen to the end of the July 16th call then. Okay. Oh, yep, there it is, right there. I see the document we're going over. Okay, so I apologize for not having better notes on this. Let me go back and re-listen to that. And maybe what we'll do is we'll set up another call instead of waiting all the way till the September Change Control Board call. I'll talk with Trevor and we'll set up a call to go over this and kind of get this thing moving again.
Okay, so we're going to review this and then set up another meeting shortly afterwards.
Yeah, I'll save you the time, Trevor. It looks like so it was around the 45-minute mark we switched, somewhere around there we switched over to the septic and wells portion of it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll get up to speed on that one and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to review it also.
Yeah, I would say why don't let's pick a date to have that call now. I myself have next week, other than our Monday planning session, Trevor, pretty wide open.
How about
we want to do it that soon?
What about a Wednesday? Tuesday or Wednesday?
That works for me if it works for the group.
What do you guys think?
I'm good with it.
Well, you guys want to go with just next Tuesday at the same time at 9 o'clock again?
Okay.
I know we're going on an hour and a half here, but I don't think certainly an hour would cover it, maybe a little bit less.
So 9 your time, 10 my time, correct?
Yes.
All right. All right, I can set that up and send it out, John.
Okay.
All right, so that is it. If anyone else has anything else to discuss, then we can bring it up. If not, we can adjourn. And sounds like we're done. I'll go ahead and cancel the